The hearing of the Supreme Court case seeking to nullify the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to kick off in just a few hours' time. Okay? Now, of course, this is Saturday Kenyan time. It will kick off at about 7 p.m. Yeah? I don't know if kick off is the right word. Probably it's better to say it will start. It will commence. Okay? Now, I've received quite a lot of requests from club members and even channel members about, to give them a heads up, my views, what's going to happen as we go forward with the Supreme Court. Okay? And that's what I'm going to attempt to do in this recording. I'm just going to try and give you highlights of what to expect. For starters, let's just get something clear. The NASA High Command is not expecting much from this particular petition, okay? Why? Why are they not expecting much? They're not expecting much given the past history of the Supreme Court and given the situation the way it is in Kenya today. I'll explain a bit more about that, okay? But let me first of all answer the next question, which naturally comes into mind. So what are they doing in court? If they don't have faith in the Supreme Court, what are they doing in court? Why are they spending so much money? Why have they sent the lawyers there to court? Actually, the explanation of NASA is that the government frustrated, blocked, harassed, bullied the people they're expecting to file the case on their behalf. Yeah? This is the civil society, people like AFRICOG, okay? We all know AFRICOG offices were raided, there was a lot of harassment, etc., etc. And even the Raila's lawyers themselves had a problem when they were compiling the material for the case. Yeah, they had to keep on shifting locations. And finally, they ended up in the home of the former Prime Minister in Karen. And that's where they completed, putting the papers together. Yeah, it would appear that this time round, NASA really thought through this process. Contrary to all the jokes people are making and fun they're making of NASA, the truth of the matter is that the party, the coalition, put in a lot of thought, a lot of foresight into this. Yeah, they dug in from the experiences and they covered quite a lot of their bases. I'm not sure if they covered all, but they covered quite a lot of them. That is already very clear. Yeah, to somebody who wants to get out of the abusive language and analyze the facts as they are, or to get out of the arrogance of your evidence is shallow. You know what people have been saying about NASA. Yeah, anyone who wants to analyze and interrogate the situation soberly, they've actually done quite a lot of good work, in my view. So clearly, the plan of NASA going forward is that the court is just part of their strategy. You remember in my last recording, I gave you a link to the David Ndi NTV interview where he revealed quite a lot about exactly what's on the mind of NASA people, which a lot of people are dreading. Mass action is there, and they're going to fight this thing, as they say, to the bitter end. Okay, so whatever the decision of the Supreme Court is, this will not be the final. Yeah, that is very clear. NASA has made that extremely clear. Now, if you have the best lawyers that money can buy, I think life can be quite easy, and I think it's possible to get away with a lot of things. Yes, because you all know that the law is an ass. You can always find a technicality if you think hard enough. You can always find a technicality or even a ploy, yeah, to use to damage the case of your opponent. Okay? Now, let me just take you briefly, very quickly back to 2013. I was following the Supreme Court case. Of course, I was covering it for the Kumekucha blog. And it reached a point where the numbers were not adding up. So I said to myself, wow, seems like Jubilee in a corner they can't come out of. Yes, and I was very certain that that is a corner they're not going to come out of, because when figures don't add up, they just don't add up. End of story. What can you say in defense of that? Okay, now a lot of you remember what happened. Okay, the IBC came up every time they were cornered. They came up with a new voter register. Okay, and apparently it seemed that there was no challenge or there was no legal basis on which those extra voter registers could be rejected, and that's how they got out of that corner. So coming to 2017, again I find that Jubilee in quite a fix. Okay, but borrowing from my 2013 experience, I'm not going to start making any rash proclamations or saying this is the end, or saying, oh, you know, the Jubilee are finished. I've learned my lesson from 2013. So one of the things about this particular case, which I'm really looking forward to, and I know a lot of you who are keen observers will look forward to, is how, you know, what rabbits Jubilee lawyers are going to pull out of the bag. Because one thing I can assure you, they'll definitely pull rabbits out of the bag. Now the question is whether they'll be successful, yeah, in being able to completely whitewash and neutralize the NASA evidence. Now let me give you an example of some NASA evidence that's really almost conclusive. The form 34Bs that have been presented, okay, for scrutiny, okay. It seems that all the IBC figures add up naturally. Yes, I told you that no forms were going to be submitted until the sums add up, yeah. But very interestingly, all the forms, a vast majority of the forms, seem to have one discrepancy or another, okay. Now, one of the things, okay, many don't have signatures, okay. So now the legal point there is a form which does not have certain signatures, should it still be accepted as genuine? Yeah, that's one of the legal issues that are going to be the Supreme Court will have to answer to, yeah. And I'm not a lawyer, so I have no idea how that will turn out. But even more interesting is the fact that these particular forms had a special barcoding, barcode security mechanism. Now we all know what barcodes are. Something similar like when you go into a supermarket and somebody, they hold that thing of your unga or whatever it is you bought, and all the details come on the computer screen, the price, etc., etc. Yeah. Now these forms had a special barcode, and this barcode is supposed to identify which particular constituency that particular form came from. Yes, this was an extra security measure. Now you will not believe it, but some of these barcodes which are being checked are bringing out very strange identities. World Health Organization, restaurants, funny computer shops. Gosh, it's really crazy. Which proves, this should prove beyond any reasonable doubt that those particular forms were cooked. Okay? Now, I'm really waiting to see how IBC are going to counter this. Okay? That one I'm on the edge of my seat, because I'm sure, I know these guys always have something. Okay? I know, as somebody said, Jubilee are slippery, very slippery. Okay? So I'm waiting to see what they come up with. Okay? I can see I've already run out of my time so quickly before I've even gotten into this thing. But no worries, you know the usual drill. Look out for the link on your top left-hand corner of the screen. Click on it, and then you'll go to the next part of this particular recording about what we should expect from the Supreme Court. This is Chris Kumekucha. See you on the other end in a little bit.